put some ideas about the future, some lessons from print, some things I believe in, and also some elements of the process I'm going through in my publications that turn out to be very successful. So the first thing is to don't fight with the trend. Everybody asks the question, what's the future of print and what's the future of media? There's a very interesting trend going on. When you look at Newsweek, Newsweek doesn't want to be newsy anymore. It doesn't want to be more black and white, opinionated, more text-driven. So you can say that weekly magazines wants to be more like monthly magazines. And the monthly magazines now are so sophisticated, they look more like food albums. And naturally, newspapers will copy magazines. And at the end of the cycle, we have websites that will have to learn a lot from newspapers to maybe finally replace them. So the magazine-style newspaper of the future should be smaller, high-quality printing and design and editorial elements, of course more visual and less newsy. Because news is not the future for print. The trend for analog media is less newsy, because news is digital. So the way for print is less news, more knowledge. So reader feels smarter, not just well informed. And we need the new type of journalist for this. Creative journalists, not just news reporting. Relevance is the king. It doesn't have to be newsy anymore, it doesn't have to be exclusive. It has to be relevant. When news is old and investigative story is expensive, only thing we can do is creative journalism. What we do now, I would call it reactive journalism. It's like a barking dog. When the stranger is passing along the fence, the dog is barking. When nobody is passing, the dog is sleeping. This is our newsrooms. We wake up in the morning and look what's going on, and we react on some politicians say, some accident happens. We're not creative at all. But there are many topics that people want to read about, many topics that are relevant for their life. So we rather need newspapers than newspapers. And the barking dogs we can keep online. So for this we need new editorial formats. What we're doing now is 19th century newspapers and maybe 20th century's magazines. There's a point of sale survey done in America. They took a typical news page, made 3 prototypes. The first one is traditional, the second one was more visual with some infographics and boxes, and the third one was totally different. It was more like a set of boxes, pullouts, quotes, and chapters on the topic. So you don't have to read it linearly from top to the bottom. And they asked the question to the audience, what do you remember from the text? And of course, the guys that were reading this third prototype knew twice as much information, understood twice as much information from the text than the other guys. So it means that non-linear, bite-sized chunks of information helps understanding of the text. And our models, 19th century models, basically are not effective anymore. We live in an SMS world, 160 characters generation. Young people don't have email addresses. I'm working with a guy from Bulgaria. He's 18 years old, art director. He doesn't have an email address. He finds me on Facebook and sends me files on Skype. So small visual forms rule. And we don't see a reflection of this in our print media. But we have tools. We can have small fixed editorial elements somewhere at the top of the page. We can have a free-floating elements. We can have a system of boxes. And what's interesting, there's a big influence on some website. This is a BBC website. They're using typical newspaper idea, comment, analysis, and box within the main text. So the problem is that these elements we use more like a decoration. Designers use it as a decoration to make a page look nice. And the editors treat this as a pain, another hour to fill the stupid boxes when my real story is in the middle of the page. But in reality, this can be a main source of information according to the perception change. Play with the rhythm. So magazine-style publications needs a rhythm like music, ups and downs and tempo. I usually draw something like this to show the opening section pages, the written breaks, just to see clearly what's the rhythm of the newspaper. Because flipping through pages is the experience you can design, designers and editors. And during the design, I spend weeks on this, and then in a daily production, I spend 1 to 2 hours a day planning the rhythm of the publication. And I'm doing it for the last 10 years in a very primitive, analog way, on the wall. Sell the story. Dealing with such beautiful illustrations and pages is not an everyday work of a designer. Everyday life is about small, tiny typographic elements to improve navigation, trying to sell the story, understand the text better. So basically, there are two functions of design. It's about grabbing attention first, and then it's about helping to digest the information. And why people don't read? The texts are too long, and there are no entry points. The story is not sold. There's a survey, another survey from Pointer, showing that the longer the story is, the less people read the story. And as you see, they read much more online than in print. So if the story is really short, like 15 centimeters, they can read maybe half of it.